Hello everyone, welcome to the January 7th Board of Selectmen meeting. I will call this meeting to order at 6:30. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a quick disclaimer, Mr. Swenson will not be here. Mr. Singer is on his way, and I'll be chairing the meeting until Mr. Singer arrives. We'll start by reading the agenda. First, I want to remind everyone that we will respectfully request that all participants treat each other courteously and be acknowledged by the chair before speaking. We'll start with the warrants and consent agenda as needed. We'll review the minutes of our last two meetings. We'll then move to community relations, announcements, and open forums. We'll be introductions of a new full-time firefighter. We'll then move to appointments and resignations. For appointments, for a per diem officer, an appointment of a part-time custodian for the police department. Resignations for a part-time intermittent police officer. Then we'll move to scheduled appointments. At 6:45, we'll have a poll hearing for AF Putnam Road. At 6:50, we'll have Town Treasurer Arsenal representing the Insurance Advisory Committee for recommendations for health insurance. At 7 o'clock, Kurt Meskis and Fire Chief Cludier will be here to discuss electronic burning permits and building permits. Under new business, we'll discuss the MMA annual meeting voter designation. We'll request for common viticular for coffee and food for Charlton Pizza Pie. We'll review a site plan application for Nichols Enterprises. Then move to old business, which we have none as of yet. Then move on to committee reports. Then Board of Selectmen policy review. Then we'll go to Ms. Sprague for the student select persons report, followed by the town administrator's report and other business not known at this time. So we'll move to the minutes. What is the board's desires for our minutes for the November 26th meeting?
Motion to approve.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes unanimously. Minutes for the special selectmen's meeting on December 5th.
Motion to approve.
Second?
We have motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. So now move on to community relations, announcements, open forums. We'll begin with the introduction of a new full-time firefighter. Chief?
Wait a minute. Usually, no problem. Continue, please.
Whatever you need to do. You all set?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking us today in community relations, and this is a big day for the fire department again. I'm pleased to announce that the Charlton Fire Department has hired a full-time firefighter paramedic. His name is Michael Capoli. He is from Manchester by the Sea, and I told him when he came to Charlton there's no ocean really within about 100 miles from here, so it was rather interesting, but he knew that already, which was great. This vacancy was created due to a full-time firefighter paramedic leaving the department. The hiring process consisted of extensive background checks, an exam, an oral interview, medical evaluation, a query was submitted, and a tool that we call organizational survey. Mr. Capoli accepted the job on December 23rd, 2013, and his first full-time day shift was January 6, 2014, which was yesterday. As in the past, the fire department has presented new firefighters to the community. They are welcomed by the Board of Selectmen and sworn in by the town clerk's office, which will be doing that shortly. This is a huge step in the life of a firefighter. The badge we wear on our uniform is a constant reminder that we are part of something much larger than ourselves. We all take a part in this colorful history that makes up the fire service. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Michael T. Capoli III. Mr. Capoli will be pinned by his mother, Maureen. Mike? Stand on the X.
One of those trick shots.
Does our town clerk swear,
Just need to raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to uphold the duties of your office to the best of your ability?
I do.
Hi, I'm Lisa Gregg.
Congratulations, welcome to the board.
What's your fee?
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for letting us do this again. Thank you.
We apologize for the little bit of a confusion here.
So that being done, we're going to back up here to announcements and open forum and whatnot. We do have a few announcements. First, Residential Refuse Drop-Off Center. Hours of operation every Saturday from 7 a.m. to 12 noon. Location, Southbridge Recycling and Disposal Park, 165 Barefoot Road, Southbridge. Residents must provide license and registration. Residents are allowed to drop off 2 bags of trash for free, any amount of recycling also for free, 1 bulk item such as a chair or a couch. Also, there's a winter parking ban. A winter parking ban will be in effect during and 48 hours following a snowstorm of over 3 inches for this upcoming and all ensuing winters on all streets in the town of Charlton. Clearing of sidewalks as approved in the town's general bylaws state that every owner of land abutting a sidewalk shall cause all snow and ice to be removed to a width of not less than 4 feet from the portion of the sidewalk abutting his land, his or her land. Removal of snow onto public way, plowing, as approved in the town's general bylaws. No person shall plow or otherwise remove snow from private property onto a public way in such manner as to obstruct travel or snow removal operations on such way. Also, 2004 dog licenses are now available in the town clerk's office. Also from the Reyes Foundation, Charlton chapter, they have given us their calendar for January 2014, their lottery calendar. Annual fundraisers. Their residential energy assistance for seniors provides heating and cooling assistance for Charlton senior citizens. Your $10 donation to purchase this lottery calendar gives you a chance to potentially win 31 times and at the same time help your most vulnerable neighbors with their heating and cooling needs. The Reyes Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is made up of an all-volunteer board of directors who care about the health and well-being of our senior citizens here in Charlton. The lottery calendar makes a great stocking stuffer with a late or special gift. The Taste of the Towns, Saturday, January 25th, 2014, from 6 p.m. to 9:30 p.m., held at the Overlook Hotel Reception Room, 88 Masonic Home Road. Tickets for Taste of the Towns are available at the Charlton Senior Center and through our board members. Call 508-248-2231 or go to www.reyes, it's R-E-A-S, charlton.org. That's just $15 per ticket. Allows you to sample the wares of local food and beverage vendors participating in this annual community event. There are raffles, silent auctions, food and drinks, friends, and fun. This event is a great way to have fun, an inexpensive night out, and to help your neighbors at the same time. Lottery and Taste of the Town tickets are available at the Charlton Senior Center. You can call 508-248-2231. I believe the next item on the, is anyone here, by the way?
I have another announcement, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of quick announcements. The newly reformed Worcester County Selectmen's Association is meeting this week, Thursday night, at 6:30 on the 3rd floor of the library. Everybody's welcome to attend. There will be selectmen from all over Worcester County there, and there will be pizza. The second announcement is about chip-in. The chip-in has been stipulated as a hunger-free community here in Charlton. And, well, not chip-in. Charlton has been stipulated as a hunger-free community, and it's because of the work of chip-in and the number of donations. They're higher than they have been in the past. People have been extraordinarily generous this year. which was also mentioned in an article in the Worcester paper today, stating that Charlton ranks number 40 of the 70 towns in Worcester and Worcester County for charitable donations, for individual donations. So, and I think it ranks 7,000 out of 28,000 in the nationwide. So Charlton is a very good and kind and helpful town, and we should all be glad to be living here. So just wanted to mention that.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Before we move on, is there anyone here for open forum? Chief? Sorry.
Through the chair, with the cold weather that we've been experiencing, I'd ask that if people to check on their neighbors, that if they haven't seen any activity or whatever. Today we had an individual that had no heat and other problems, and we had to send an individual to the hospital today, a senior. So if you think that you have a neighbor or somebody that might be in trouble, or you haven't seen any activity in their home, this is a very dangerous time with the extreme cold, or if there's any issues, obviously, with livestock that may, domestic animals or whatever. There's certain livestock that can be out in this weather, but if there's any questions, please call us. But today we had one individual we had to send to the hospital because there was no heat in the home. So, and we're working on that with the Senior Center and Tri-Valley Elder Service. So please give us a call if you think there is a need for us to check into somebody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to just add one thing to that. Also, the pipes, everyone, I've had a lot of people come to me and they've had frozen pipes and burst pipes. We had an incident
I
with
did.
the MRI building at Harrington with a pipe in the irrigation. So, yeah, very, very critical that you make sure, just leave a little bit of water running. It helps to keep that water from freezing up.
Please don't call the selectman's office if you have frozen pipes.
No.
Just to be clear.
Call the plumber.
And make sure that, through the chair, that it's both the cold and the hot water that's dripping, because we just left the hot water dripping and the cold water pipe froze, so.
Is there anyone else here for open forum? If you could just give your name and address.
Okay, my name is Kathy Fisher-Fournier, and I am the president of the Meadowview Tenants Association. I actually have a copy of what I'm about to read for each one of you, but for myself, I need to read it. So, there are numerous issues related to the Charlton Housing Authority which need to be brought into the light, such as the persistent health issue of mold contamination in many of the buildings, calculation of rents, applicant rejection without cause, uneven application of fines and damages, assessments, and no tenant representation of voice on the board. Therefore, the Meadowview Tenants Association requests that the Charlton Housing Authority monthly board meetings be televised. The Housing Board meets every second Tuesday of the month in the Housing Meeting Room at 1 Meadowview Drive. This request is made by the Meadowview Tenants Association to ensure transparency and accessibility to all residents of Charlton Housing and the town of Charlton, serving the elderly, handicapped, low-income families. Many of them are homebound, working, or physically unable to attend the Housing Authority board meetings, but would have access if the meetings were available via the town's television broadcast. This would be possible using the town's remote television equipment. We ask that the Charlton Housing Authority boards be televised for greater transparency and accessibility. Thank you, the Meadowview Tenants Association.
Thank you. Quick question. The selectmen do or no, we don't have the authority to force an association like that to televise.
Yeah, you just hand out.
Well, that's
To
it.
If
require that.
Actually, I think Kathleen wants to answer that.
I do, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the past, I've been very concerned with having all the meetings in town televised because of general transparency and the idea that most people can't come to these meetings. That's why the select board has always been televised. But I assumed that it would be up to each individual board to agree to that before they could be televised. But I was at a meeting last week, and with the Selectmen's Association, and the town of Auburn, the chairman was there, and she said they televise all their meetings. And I said, well, how did you get the boards to go along with that? And she said, well, they didn't. She said, but the selectman is in charge of the cable people. And so the selectman can send the cable people to the board meeting, wherever it is, and have it televised. You don't need the permission of the board. She said, we didn't get any board's permissions. We didn't ask for it. We just sent our cable people there, and they were able to televise the meeting. Now, I did talk to Drew, and he did tell me that they do have a single camera that they can bring around and televise a meeting. So I'm not saying we necessarily should do this or shouldn't do it, but it's just new information. And it's good to know that we can do that if we want to. So I'd just like the board to consider it.
Thank you. Mr. Sefcovic?
Well, I'm not sure how Auburn does it, because some of the boards, like the Charlton Housing Authority, are elected. I'm not sure if we can send we can? Okay.
Just to elaborate on what Mrs. Walker's talking about, these are public meetings. Anyone can tape, and that's basically what she's saying, that the authorization is because it's an open meeting and it can be taped.
So if I may, it's not necessarily the Board of Selectmen is directing boards to televise, it's just cable can show it wherever they want, because the public meetings record wherever they want and put it on.
Cable could do that, but I think that the request here is that the Board of Selectmen take some action and direct the cable to televise these meetings. So, which is different than they're having an event and they invite Drew in to tape an event that's happening for them. So I don't know if Drew would make that decision on his own. I think they were asking for the board to make that decision in the direction.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could just elaborate a little further, I think that from my perspective, this would be just the start of taping and televising all the town meetings, because there's just so much that's going on and everybody can't physically come to the meetings, especially the seniors. That's what a lot of them don't even drive at night.
Would it be, I guess, the right step to maybe ask you to do some research with some surrounding communities about who's doing that? If it's just Auburn, if other communities are doing it, if they're getting any pushback, or have there been any problems with doing that from any other communities?
I can do a study if you want of what they tape, but I think each town is different as to what their board's makeup are, whether or not they're elected or appointed.
But they have had problems
And
or
I'm
not
sorry,
had
they may
problems.
not be able to hear me.
If they've had problems or not had
Come on up.
problems
Come
sending,
on up.
Yeah.
What would-
being told that they're interfering or, stepping on another board's toes when they don't have the right to do so. Can't hear you. Do so.
Can't hear you.
I would just like to know, what difference should that make if other towns are, we're having a problem, we're simply asking for something that
Right, and that,
actually legally
sit
can
down.
be.
right, and basically my
done.
request to the town administrator was to just try and help get some more information to find out whether legally we can do that. Are other towns doing that, and if so,
Oh,
have
I'm
they
sorry,
been?
I thought you asked her if they were having problems.
No, if other towns
I'm
had
sorry.
done that, have they had problems or been challenged or said you can't do that, and to find out legally, can we do that? Are there other towns who've set a precedent where they're doing that and not getting in trouble for doing that, is what I basically asked her to do. Because, for example, with a lot of boards that are elected, as far as I was told, we don't have the authority to force them or tell them to televise their meetings. What I'm gathering here is that Auburn has not told them you have to televise, but instead
Don't we as
took a.
tenants have the authority, as a tenant association, have the authority to request it to
I
be
think the
televised?
tenants, and that's what I'm trying to clarify, I think as the tenants have the authority as residents to contact the cable committee and ask them to come and tape it, or to also record it yourselves and to put it on cable access. I don't think that's a question, I think that's a given. As a Charlton resident, you can record it yourself and have it put on, or request cable access to come and tape it and put it on. I've simply asked the town administrator to find out first, before the board takes action, whether we have the legal right to do it as the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
You do as a citizen, and everyone who lives there has a right to contact Charlton Cable and say, will you please come and tape this?
I can actually answer that without having to do a study.
Sure.
You have the right to do it. There is no anything against the law if you decided to mandate that or request that the cable go and tape meetings. So you're not going to get into any kind of trouble. This has been discussed at the manager's level as to how to have more transparency. Many towns have yielded to what the board's wishes have been. Some towns have chosen not to do that, such as Auburn, and I've had a conversation with the town manager there. This subject came up, I don't know, months ago. And she did tell me that the board made a policy and that was it and that's what they did. I would hesitate, in one way you're caveating it as into the residents could request Drew to come. I think you would be putting Drew in an awkward position if, and possibly a hostile position, if the residents are asking him to come and tape and he comes and tapes and he's not been directed by this board. So it would be helpful if the board made a decision whether it would or it wouldn't, or if it wanted to table it and do a workshop with board. I don't know what your alternatives are, but I don't think that just saying that they should ask Drew if the housing authority is not interested in having it done.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Shadrovich?
I think it might behoove us just to, after doing some more looking on what policies other towns uses, to create our own policy that will deal with us, with filming these, other meetings.
One of the things you could do, because you've had a request about taping that, is invite the housing authority to your next meeting to discuss how they feel about taping, because you don't know, you've heard a complaint. Perhaps you want to have them back at your next meeting and continue this conversation then. She's coming in open forum, so it's not on the agenda, so it hasn't really been discussed. You haven't had time to think about what the ramifications are. So what you could do is just choose to put it on the actual agenda for your next meeting, and then notify the housing authority so that they could come and have a conversation.
Okay. I can tell you personally, I'm not opposed to asking them to televise due to the situation of a lot of seniors, although I do agree with Ms. Graver, I would like to give them the opportunity to come in to the Board of Selectmen as well. Without any objections from the other selectmen, I would like to make this an actual agenda item for the next meeting and ask them to come before the board so we can actually talk to them about the situation.
Can I just also say that, isn't it supposed to be an open meeting already? It's an open meeting that anybody can go to. So I'm just curious as to, if it's an open meeting, why does there have to be a discussion on, because you know every one of them are gonna say no. So it just seems to me, if it is supposed to be an open meeting for anyone, then really an open meeting is televised as your meeting is. So
It is an open meeting, but by putting it on the agenda for the next meeting, it gives them the opportunity to come to the meeting as well, where this is being discussed, and have their say. So instead of having one side come and just present to the Board of Selectmen, you get to come and give your side, and they would get to also say what they have to say about it. And then we hear them both, and then the board can make a decision from there. Usually the board doesn't just have one side come in and then make a decision without giving the other side the opportunity to be heard.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought it was, like I said, an open forum, and wasn't taking sides. I just thought it was something that we voted on at our meeting, and I thought majority rule, but I guess we'll put it on the agenda and we'll see what the board has to say. Quite interesting.
We do appreciate that you brought it to our attention. I do have another question, though. You mentioned mold issues. Has anyone contacted the Board of Health?
I have asked, as the president, I have given 3 letters to the director and asked for the mold issue to be checked, first
Okay.
of all. It's been going on for years. Finally, she did send someone around. So I asked for the results of that, which are not forthcoming.
You asked the director?
In writing, oh yes, in writing 3 times, and then verbally today, and I was told that we may not get that because it's certainly certain issues in certain housing, and even though we are in association which is requesting that, which we have every right to, it is not forthcoming.
Ms. Guerra, can the Board of Selectmen request that information be provided to this board? Especially since it affects town-owned buildings, I'd like to know. So can we please do that? So we were gonna ask them to.
Can I just say, and that is one of the problems, this has been going on, that I know from people that were there before. I've only been there for almost 6 years. There've been people there for 12 and 13 and 15 and 18 years that have had doctor's notes sent in time after time after time, have asked, nothing's ever been done. So and the board doesn't even know. The board doesn't know that there's a mold issue. This is my problem. There's
So I
a
just
person
want-
running and the board is supposed to be running, but they're not. They don't know 3/4 of what's going on. That's why I'm asking that it be televised.
Okay,
So
well,
I just want to be clear what I'm asking for. Is there a mold study that was done?
Yes, there was, yes,
but they won't tell you what the results were.
correct.
I'd like to know what those results were. I'd also like to have the Board of Health let us know if they were made aware of this and what they did about it.
If we could have, through the chair, if we could have copies of the report, that would be helpful.
So would you like this added to the agenda? And
Yes.
if you want to add, we can put housing authority, mold update, televised meetings. And was there one more thing?
I had the televised meetings and the mold. Am I missing something? Those are the two biggies.
Those are the two big
The largest issues that we
Okay,
have.
just so that we can notify the housing authority as to what you're going to want to be talking about.
And
And so
just, oh, sorry,
They will have to come here at the next meeting to discuss those two issues, including the mold
Okay,
as well.
thank you. I thank you for that.
excuse me, that would be the board and the director, right?
The invitation will go, I mean, we can't force them, but my understanding is that you're asking that we make the request to the board and the director.
Right. And just one more thing, I just want to, and you can tell me if the rest of this board disagrees, but my understanding is that we're inviting the board to talk, the housing board to talk about the issue of televising their meetings, to hear what possible reasons that we may not be aware of, why the meeting shouldn't be televised, I guess. But the fact is that it's not a vote between us and them about whether it gets televised.
No,
It's,
my understanding, the way that I had planned on writing the letter after hearing what you've said is informing them that you've had a request to send the cable down to tape their meetings, and that you would like to have a conversation about how to work that out.
okay, that's perfect.
And unless I'm mistaken, we have the opportunity to hear from them at this meeting, what they have to say, and if they can work out a solution to get them televised. If not, we have the opportunity at that point of having heard both sides to take action ourselves to request someone go and televise. Mr. Safarovich?
I think it's also one of our goals and objectives is to possibly look into more transparency in filming the other meetings. And I think that's something we should be working on, and maybe in the near future, on an off Tuesday or whatever works for everyone, is to hold a workshop to really kind of hammer out a policy that everyone can appreciate in town.
I would agree with that, because this is, what's being asked of you is something different than what you've been doing before.
Well, I'm saying this is.
And other boards are gonna wanna know, what are the ramifications of whatever decision you decide to do here. And there's a cost, consideration. I mean, if you're going to, send Drew to every meeting for the housing authority, and then maybe you pick 2 more, those are additional hours, during the week that could add up to another 20 hours a week. So you also need to think about the financial, components of taking a vote like that.
I can tell you that they usually last between a half hour and an hour, unless it's the once a year thing when they're going over all the finances. They don't usually last that long. And for the most part, there's between 3 and 4 members there, not the full board, so
They're talking about doing this on a more global.
I understand.
And, Mr. Chairman, from my perspective, I agree that we don't want to just jump into this and start televising every meeting in town that happens all at once, because it would be a cost. But if we could start with baby steps, maybe one board at a time, and slowly work our way into it, because I think eventually all the meetings will be televised.
Can we set up a workshop maybe in the next month find whenever the department heads and the other committees can find a reasonable time that everyone can agree on. Maybe meet for an hour or 2 hours.
You wanna check on some available dates and poll the board and some department heads? And then she can let us know.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll see you at the next meeting, because
Thank you very much, I will definitely be
believe
here,
they
and I'm
will,
hoping to look forward to seeing a lot more
that they will be
fun
here.
watching Channel 12. Thank you for hearing me.
And I will also CC the Board of Health so they're aware and invite them to the meeting also.
Great.
Is there anyone else here for open forum? Okay, I guess then the next thing on the agenda, Ms. Craver, would be the appointment of the per diem dispatcher.
Attached, you will find a letter from Chief Purvier requesting to add one additional per diem dispatcher to cover certain shifts on various days. In an effort to avoid the unnecessary payment of overtime, an immediate need exists to add the requested position. In reviewing the Charlton Police Department's current pool of per diem dispatch applicants, Chief Purvier interviewed and would recommend the appointment of Laura Punier. A complete background check and reference check was conducted and revealed that Ms. Punier has a clean record and a solid background and should be considered for the per diem dispatcher position for the Charlton Police Department.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Safarovich?
I move that we appoint Laura Prunier as a per diem dispatcher.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any comments, Chief?
Ms. Prunier is a dispatcher for UPS, and she also works for the Millbury Police Department, dispatching part-time. She comes fully trained. You'll find that she's a very affable individual. She says she always wants to bring a little bit of humor with her employment. I told her, that smile, and that goes a long way when you're dealing with the public. And so she put herself, over her career in different areas where she really has to produce. UPS obviously is a very busy place, and Millbury is a very busy place, obviously with the Blackstone Mall and that. And so she is available for some hours that we need to fill. And like I said, she comes fully trained, so we just need to show her how we do things, and hopefully we can get her up and running, and with your approval, add it to our force.
Mr. Chairman? Oh, sorry.
Ms. Walker?
Just a quick question. Thank you. When we've talked in the past about regional dispatchers, the comment is often heard, well, they don't know our town, and each town has all these little places that are roads that are named the same, and all kinds of little quirks. So I would ask Ms. Prunier, how would you plan to go about getting on top of that, I guess?
Well, you just need to re-verify the street, if it's Elm Street, Elm Court, Elm Place. My experience with UPS, I have I'm coming into my 20th year with UPS as a management specialist, dispatching drivers for this area. So you tend to know the area a little bit. I grew up in Grafton, so I'm well versed in streets. Lived in Oxford for about 8 years, so it's a lot of re-verification, and you do need to know the area, and you just have to re-verify and make sure you're sending them, because there are many streets, and I use Elm as the example because Elm Street, Elm Place, Elm Terrace, it's all relevant.
Right. Okay, good. Thank you.
Anything else on the board?
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Sewell?
I know this is a very high-stress job sometimes, as Ms. Craver can testify. When we had the tornado come through, and we sat and watched the dispatchers and the high level of stress and everything like that comes through with that job, it's a very important job, and it's a hard job. It's not an easy job to sit there and handle all these calls, and especially when the school is getting closed, everybody wants to call and find out, is the school closed? I mean, you can watch the news, just, but everybody seems to wanna call the dispatcher, you know? But, yeah, congratulations, keep your head up, it's a great town, we live in here, and pleasure to have you aboard.
Through the
We
chair,
didn't vote yet, but
through the chair.
Almost.
Another thing that we do usually too is our new dispatchers, we send them out with a patrol and try to get some key points, landmarks in the area that they can, say, well, is it near this or what have you, so, to get familiarized. It's difficult when you come into a community, and even, working here every day with new roads or roads that you haven't been down, and some people refer to different parts of the town, so, if somebody said, well, I'm from Hells County, I mean.
That's near where I am,
You know,
yeah.
so I know where that is here, and if they say, well, I live, on the old dump road, I mean, that's, Flint Road, so depending on how people reference things, and, but it just takes time, and, we have a street-to-street reference, so if they say it's next to one, they know if it's on the north side of Route 20 or what other road, so we try to make that, but I always say, if you're not sure, ask the question to the people that are on duty, and there's never, any shame in asking that, especially when you're breaking in, so to make sure that you're sending the correct location, the right assets, so.
Chief? Oh, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously, and I'm sure Ms. Prunier will do an excellent job.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Ms. Craver, next item on the agenda will be part-time custodian for the police department.
Yes, sir. Attached is another request from Chief Purvier asking the board to appoint Thomas Martacci of Cranberry Meadow Shore Road as part-time custodian to the police department for 15 hours per week as advertised. The position was approved by the board on July 23rd, 2013. I would recommend the board make this appointment.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Seferovich.
I move that we appoint Thomas Martoshi as the part-time custodian to the police department.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Chief?
Just in the way of introduction, Mr. Martacci, in my letter, he was a veteran of the Vietnam War, and when he got out, shortly thereafter, he started working at Worcester State Hospital, and he was there for 40 years, and was in charge of painting and what have you, and on the side, he does sides and construction and things like that, so he's very familiar with maintaining a building and what it goes into, and I guess he wants a little bit to keep him busy in his retired years from working for the state, and he lives here, and it'd be great to have somebody come in, because since the building opened, for the residents that don't know, I mean, we've had a service off, over the years of different people, but we've never had our own custodian maintenance person. So even though that this is limited as far as, the 15 hours, and we'll see how that goes, and I'll report to the board, hopefully, as far as if it meets being able to take care of everything, but it'll be more hours than what I have currently, and you'll be able to come down and we can, so anyways, it'll be great, to have our own person who's familiar with the building, and so if there's a nick in the wall or, something that needs to be repaired, it'll be his duty to do that, so, and he'll be familiar with the ins and outs, and it'll be great to have somebody there during the week taking care of those needs, so I recommend that you hire Tom.
Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I'd also like to say thank you for your service to your country, too. for the chief to stay there, he's not going anywhere. They say third time's a charm. This is third. Next item on the agenda, resignation, permanent intermittent police officer, Ms. Craver?
Yes, sir. Attached, you'll find another letter from Chief Purvier requesting to add one additional per diem dispatcher to cover certain shifts on various days in an effort to avoid, I've already done that one.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Thought we were adding another one.
Oh, okay. I thought we have a
Is this the-
resignation.
Right.
And I don't have that, Peter. I have it in here. Thank you. That's what I get for not, thank you.
I like the action, I like.
That's what happens if I don't write on it. Okay.
I think it's yours. Is that the town, the housing authority? No, this is Kurt's.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So attached is a resignation from Adam Richard,
maybe
resigning
it's
from his
mine.
position as a permanent intermittent police officer of the town of Charlton due
Do you have
to
one of
not being
these?
able to work full-time and continue to serve this position. The board should vote to approve his resignation.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Safarovich?
I move we accept the resignation of Adam Richard.
Motion, is there a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Ms. Craver?
Okay, now we'll do the poll hearing.
Can we
Attached.
send just a thank you letter for his fine
Absolutely.
service to the community?
Absolutely. Attached, you'll find a request from National Grid to install one south pole on AF Putnam Road. This request has been forwarded and approved by the Chief of Police and Highway Superintendent. You will begin by opening the public hearing and read the notice as sent to the abutters.
Oh, yeah.
Hello. Yeah, my name is Steve Susi.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
Sorry.
one
Here.
second.
This is-
Yeah, okay. Public hearing notice was rescheduled due to inclement weather. Charlton Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, January 7th, 2014, at 6:45 PM in the Selectmen's Meeting Room, 37 Main Street, Charlton, Mass. 01507, to act on a request from National Grid requesting permission to locate poles, wires, and fixtures, including the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures, along and across the following public way. AF Putnam Road, install one SO pole approximately 45 feet east of the center line of the intersection of Danforth Lane. Install midspan pole between P29 and P30, long span over 225 feet. National Grid is also asking for permission to lay and maintain underground laterals, cables, and wires in the above or intersecting public ways of making connections with such poles and buildings as each of said petitioners may desire for distributing purposes. Anyone wishing to be heard in this matter should appear on the date and time specified or submit concerns in writing. So we'll declare this hearing open. 7:15 PM.
Hi, my name is Steve Susi. I'm designer for National Grid. And the reason why we need this pole is actually to run secondary. The span is quite long right now. It only has a neutral. And so when you're running secondary wire, you have two legs in addition to the neutral, so you're tripling the weight. So we needed a new pole to put here so we can run secondary to existing pole 30-1 and install a light there to light up Danforth Lane.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Is anyone else here for the hearing? If no one here has any questions from the board, if not, we'll declare the hearing closed. At 7:16 PM, sorry.
All set?
Board's wishes.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the request from National Grid.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Safarovich?
Just a point of order question. Do you have to vote to close a hearing?
No? The next item on the agenda would be Town Treasurer Arsenal, Insurance Advisory Committee, recommendation for health insurance. Ms. Craver?
Yes, sir. Town Treasurer Arsenault is here on behalf of the Insurance Advisory Committee. The Insurance Advisory Committee has been investigating joining the Hampshire Council of Governments Health Insurance Trust. The program offered is the same Blue Cross Blue Shield HMO of New England that we currently offer our employees. The plan design includes higher copays for medical services, emergency room visits, and prescriptions that our current consortium would eventually adopt. An important difference between the plans is the Employee Plus One category that provides additional savings to some employees. Rates for family and individual are 12% and 20% less, respectively. The Board of Directors for the Hampshire Council of Government Health Insurance Trust has voted to allow Charlton, Bay Path, and Dudley to join. As you know, we are in a consortium now as the three entities. Their requirement is the payment of an entry fee equaling 3 months' premiums. On December 19th, 2013, Charlton Insurance Advisory Committee voted unanimously to join the trust and would recommend the Board of Selectmen enter into the Health Insurance Trust effective July 1st, 2014. And Keith and the chief are here if you have questions about the numbers and the savings. I do want to say that Keith has done a really good job of looking this up, investigating it, and working with the other two entities and the advisory council, so we really appreciate the work he's done to save money. I also want to let you know that departments are now starting to also come in and look, with the budget coming in next year, ways that they can save. And this is some significant savings.
So I guess one question I would have then would be the $165,000 that we would have saved, is that a fair estimate of what we might look at saving in the coming years?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The 3-month buy-in will take approximately 17, 18 months to cover.
Okay.
And then after that point in time, the town and the employees will save money.
Ms. Walker?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to ask this question. I pretty much know the answer, but I think it's good to get it surfaced for the community. And the question is why don't we go to Mass Health?
I assume you're talking about the GIC.
The GIC, yeah.
Yes. This particular program is less expensive than the standard plan that we compare with at the GIC. Plus, it offers a whole lot more to the employees. The GIC has annual deductibles and co-payments that are much higher than we're currently experiencing. So the question I have when the GIC is brought up is why would we pay more money and get less?
So it's not only better for the employees, but it's less costly for the town?
Correct, very much less costly,
Okay,
yes,
thank you.
Sorry.
yes.
You all set?
Yep.
Mr. Safarovich?
It's mentioned here that there is an entry fee that doesn't cover just three months. We're paying a separate fee as well as just the monthly premiums.
What the insurance trust allows is to spread that over a period of time. So if we continue to pay the same amount out of a level funded appropriation, within 18 months, we will have covered that entry fee. And then at that point in time, the town will be saving money. So we have to look forward a little. It's going to take a year and a half to get to that point. But then we should be saving 15 to 20% on the cost of health insurance and still provide a quality program to our employees.
Through the chair. Looking beyond this group that I hope you vote to allow us to join is very, very proactive and has been very vigilant as far as keeping premiums down. So the town and the employees should be able to, for many years, to stay very conservative as far as any cost increase. And even though there's a small addition for co-pays for the employees, it's minimal compared to what I think is a long-range savings for the town. And with the addition of members plus one, so people that are currently, it's themselves and their spouse are another member that are entitled to the insurance, there'll be those savings. And those savings will start for the employees as of July 1. And where the town does not have to come up with any additional monies, where it's able to take and use at a level funded rate to do the buy-in, 17, 18 months, then the town, you're looking at a significant amount of money, $150,000, $160,000 that you won't have to appropriate, that'll be there for other general government uses or any other increases that the town incurs. So I would just say to you that when Treasurer Arsenault spoke to me as chairman of the Insurance Advisory Committee, and I looked at this, I said, when can we get this done? We have to do the whole process and, be applied, be accepted, and obviously your vote. But I think, being able to have premiums lower than what the GIC is and to have the same high level of health care for the town employees is just tremendous. So I want to thank Keith, for looking out for the town, and it's a win-win, the savings and the benefit.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one more quick question, not totally directly related, but I'm just curious. When I first got on the board, elected officials could partake of the health insurance for the town, and then that was eliminated. That option was eliminated, except there were people that were already on it that were grandfathered in. Do we still have people on it?
You mean as far as elected officials
Yeah.
customarily working less than 20 hours a week?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board?
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Seferovich?
Never mind.
I was just gonna add a piece. We are working with Dudley and Bay Path because we are in a consortium with them. Dudley is looking at it, and as well as Bay Path, so we'll let you know what their decisions are too. But we'll be going independently. So just so that's clear, we're not going in as a group. We've worked together as a group, we've gotten the information together as a group, and we've been accepted individually, so this is an individual move for us.
And just, there's no detriment to us to go individually?
No.
That's my question is
We
whether
already
or
have
not,
our rates.
Okay.
my question was whether or not that if we had to wait for Dudley and Bay Pass approval of this, so we're breaking up the consortium then.
They very right to join us.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Seferovich?
I move that we enter the health insurance trust effective July 1st, 2014.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously.
No, thank you for your time.
Thank you for your hard
Thank
work. The next item on the agenda, and I apologize, we're running behind. Kurt Meskis and Fire Chief Cloutier discuss electronic burning permits and building permits. Ms. Craver?
Okay. Kurt Meskis and the fire chief have asked to be placed on the agenda to discuss the changeover to web-based burning, building, electrical, gas, and plumbing permits. How's that for an introduction?
Motion to approve, I think it's great.
Well, thank you. As you know, I've been working on this project for a number of years. We've looked at a number of purveyors. We went with a purveyor that was unable to perform and actually went out of business. His business model failed. We have, through a reserve fund transfer, been able to sign on with a company called GOTMS based in Franklin that has a long-term presence in this industry for permitting. We started working with them October-ish, and pressed them to get burning permits online for January 15th, and then building permits and electrical permits will follow after. So we're here to announce to the community that electronic or online permitting is coming, payments online, are going to be available, and we're gonna hit a few of the high points of this product and continue to release this out so that we can get everybody permitting from home.
I think one of the biggest things that we're gonna see right away for the fire service and the fire department itself is gonna be the burning permits. It seems to be our most popular permit that we do issue. We issue about 600 burning permits every single year. And that allows folks to burn from 10 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon on, from January until April 1st. So during that time frame, you're able to burn winter, fall, and those kind of things, brush and such, so it doesn't accumulate into your yard. So this permitting process will allow us to allow you to access the burning permit program from home. You'll actually be able to issue a permit, apply for a permit. It comes back to the fire department. We issue those permits, and then those permits are basically printed out on your home computer, and you're able to, and printer, and be able to have the burning permit right there. The money exchange will be done right directly through the online process as well, and so we won't have to worry about money in the fire station or anything, which is good. One less thing we have to worry about. And now you'll be able to access the burning permit program to ask for a permit 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Right now, we only allow burning permits, folks to come in from 9 in the morning until 12 in the morning, 7 days a week to get the permit. Now you can access that 24/7, so that'll be helpful for folks. You'll be able to record a burn every single day that you want to burn. The recording hours will be from 9 till noon. You'll be able to record directly from home as well. Now, some folks may not have a computer at home. The library is accessible as well to issue permits and those kind of things. And if worst comes to worst, you can always come down to the fire station and go on the computer in dispatch and be able to issue your permit from there as well. They believe that there's going to be a permitting portion in the town hall set up eventually, and you'll be able to do it from there. So there's quite a few places where you're able to do this. It's also Mac supported, so you can do it from an iPad and such. And I see Miss Walker, she's grinning. So that makes things a little bit easier as well. It does free up our firefighters to continue to do the tasks that their main assignment is done, and be able to get through the calls that need to be completed, and also allows them to when we're out on a call, allows you the residents to be able to take care of issuing their permits that way as well. Some days there's going to be times where we're not allowed as well. So there's a lot of good things that this the permitting process will allow us on the fire side, and we're looking to enhance that down the road into smoke detector certifications, oil burner certifications, and a couple other permits that we can do online and make our job a little bit easier to get things done with. So that's pretty much on the fire side, I believe.
Just want to mention something to do with that.
Sure.
Thank you. Other than my own personal convenience, which I get a burning permit every year and then call and have to come to the fire station, so I'm greatly appreciative to do this online, but I had no idea that there were 600 applications every year. So that means that 600 people, households that are coming into the fire station.
That's correct.
Between that period of time. So it's a tremendous amount of staff work, because I think it takes about 10 or 15 minutes to come in there and get the paperwork and pass the money, whether it's a check or a cash or whatever. So I can't imagine. I had no idea that it was that extensive. So I'm absolutely delighted that you've moved in this direction.
Well, that's one thing as well, not only just that 10-minute span that you have, to interface with us, which we will miss, honestly. I think that lots of times we do get that opportunity to interface with folks and, show them the fire station and everything. I think that we will miss that portion of it, but unfortunately, times are changing, so we need to do something different. That 10-minute span that you're getting to see us there, is only a portion of it. From there, all the monies need to be collected and tallied, make sure that everything is accounted for that day. And then it goes upstairs into the administrative secretary's office. She works through everything and puts all the programs together, all the checks are all straightened out, and there's a lot of administrative time there that gets utilized as well. So we're hoping to have this process make life better, not only for the residents, but also for us as well. So we're hoping.
Great.
I think in addition to all the fire permits, think of all the permits that goes from Mr. Meskis' department, for building, plumbing, electrical, and whatnot. And I'd like to just extend my thanks to both of you for all of your work in making this happen. I think that you've basically just given something to this community, not only all the contractors who come here, but all the residents as well, and have just given them a tool to make their lives so much easier and more convenient.
One good thing about having a building commissioner that is also an assistant chief of the fire department, he sees a lot of different things there that are, that work well. There's some things that work well together, and there's other things that don't work well together. But he's able to recognize that we needed some kind of a situation like this. We've been talking about it for years. We've been trying to do something like this for years. It was just that the programs that we were using didn't allow that. So actually, by the other company going out of business, actually, sometimes there's always a silver lining. Well, I think maybe this is hopefully it. So, and Kurt did all the work on this, and I really cannot take any credit for it. He did a great job, and he really put this whole operation together, and I greatly appreciate his input and the things that he's done for us in the fire department. So
Again, my thanks to both you and to Kurt for doing the work. And if I'm reading this correctly, for those who may be watching, this will start being available January 15th. They'll be able to click a permit link on the Town of Charlton's own website, which is www.townofcharlton.net.
Correct. That's correct. And January 15th starts the traditional burning season, so we're going to roll the program out with burning permits, which traditionally start off slow, and then as the weather gets nicer, it gets
You do.
gets more intense, especially on those nice sunny Saturdays. And then on February 4th, we'll be rolling out the building permits, electrical permits, plumbing permits, and stuff like that. So many of the applications will be available online. It will be an online process. The customer has the choice of paying with a check by entering their account numbers and routing numbers through the third-party Unibank, which the town uses for the tax collector. There is a small 25-cent fee attached to that service for using the check. They can also use their credit cards and get miles or whatever bonus points they want. The fee for using a credit card is somewhat larger, I understand from Ms. Blanchett. It's $3 to $5. So get your checkbooks out and learn how to read your routing numbers. The electronic process will speed the process for simple projects. We'll be able to get them around the town hall to the tax collector for sign-off without anybody having to walk around the town hall. We'll be emailing the actual permit back to many of the customers. The simple projects, roofing, siding, should be pretty much a hands-off project. If it involves construction itself, it's going to be a little more cumbersome. I still have to review plans, but we'll work through that. People will be able to review their project status online. They'll be able to request inspections online, and inspection results can be emailed to the customer. They have an interface program for in-the-field work right now. We're not going to go to that because they're developing a Microsoft Windows Surface-based product to take the older VPN product off. So as time goes on and they bring that out for beta testing, I hope to be a beta site for that and be able to manipulate a lot of this inspection stuff right in the field and speed up service greatly. So it's been an interesting ride. I've done a bunch of different programs from programs for the fire department, from programs that we are involved in here, and this team at GOTMS has been the best thing that I've ever dealt with. I said to them a month ago, yes, I know that you're working on building permits, but burning permits are the lifeblood of the fire department come January, can we get this online? And now it's like, yes, we're ready. Chief and Nancy are going to orientation training on Thursday in Franklin all day. Part of the contractual requirements keeps us in an isolated lab so that we can concentrate on that. And then Nancy and I go back on Tuesday all day for another session so that we can roll this out. So I thank you for your support. I thank the Finance Committee for the funding of that. And, we are going to put some presence on the scroll. We're going to put stuff on the webpage. I've handed out the press release to all of you and to the press here, and I'll make sure the news gets it also. So thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to happy things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt.
With that, move on to new business. The first item would be MMA annual meeting voter designation. Ms. Craver?
Yes, sir. As you're aware, the Mass Municipal Association's annual business meeting will take place during the MMA annual meeting and trade show on January 25th. Each MMA member town is entitled to one vote. In order to vote at the meeting, a local official must be the mayor in a member city, or the chair of the Board of Selectmen, or the chair of the town council in a member. If an official from one of these categories cannot in the person's place, but only with written authorization from the chair of the Board of Select, I would ask you to vote to designate one of the members to be the voting member as required by the Massachusetts Municipal Association bylaws.
Ms. Walker?
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I would suggest that Mr. Safarovitz be the voting member this year. As I've done it, it's a good opportunity, and I'm sure he'll do a great job.
Mr. Safarovich?
I would defer to Ms. Walker if she wants it, being she has more years' experience with it, but I will gladly accept if the board chooses to do so.
Oh, you have a motion and a second right now for you.
Yep.
Was there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Mr. Safarovich will be the voting member.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
It's an honor.
The next item under new business will be a request for common vic, coffee food, Charlton Pizza Pie. Ms. Craver?
Yes, sir. Attached, please find an application for common vicular license for the Charlton Pizza Pie located at 190 Masonic Home Road. They have completed the necessary paperwork needed. The fee for such license is $20. I have been informed that they are still awaiting on their occupancy permit, but if you'll give them the common vic, they'll have that out of the way, and we will hold that until the occupancy permit is approved.
So the motion should be to approve based upon them receiving.
You can just approve it, and they can't open the building until, but, yeah.
And then they have to pay the fee until they get that. Wishes of the board?
Was that a motion you just made there?
I'm the chairman, ask some questions.
You can
Now,
make a
now
motion.
I'll ask for a motion from the board.
Motion to approve.
There's a motion
Second.
and a second to approve. Any comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Correction?
Yes.
109 Masonic Home Road.
Not
190. 109.
109.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a typo on the report.
We'll be down for pizza pie.
Hey, someone knows what a pizza's called, a pie.
Pizza pie.
All right. That done, the next item on the agenda would be site plan application, Nichols Enterprises. Ms. Craver?
Yes, sir. Attached is a copy of a site plan application submitted to the planning board by Burton Engineering on behalf of Nichols Enterprises for approval to expand the existing 12,000 square foot industrial building located at 100 Sturbridge Road by adding a 4,000 square foot building addition. Said property is located northerly off of Sturbridge Road and is zoned industrial general. The planning board has scheduled the application public hearing for their meeting on January 22nd, 2014. The board is asked to review and provide any comments, if any, no later than Thursday, January 16th.
comments.
We don't have to take an action.
No, you
Any
don't.
comments or questions from the board? No?
Yay, development.
And
All right, then we'll move on to old business, and I think there's none, correct?
no, you're correct.
Any members of the board have any committee reports they'd like to give?
What about the policy review? Oh,
That's
the committee.
next.
Just wanted to mention a couple of things, Mr. Chairman. The Mass Municipal Association, which I'm on the Board of Directors, is going ahead to try to get the Chapter 90 money that was taken away from us last year, put back in. So that's one of their high priorities for this year.
Is there an update on that?
And, well, the update is that they're moving ahead with it. There's no light at the end of the tunnel because the governor still refuses to let go of the money. But the intention is to keep that on the front burner for the next governor. So, so that would be good. The other thing is that the lottery funds have come in over what was expected, well over. And the revenues are very up this year for the state. There's a lot of interest and push towards getting the state to, once again, we are always trying to get the legislature to come back earlier with their budget, so we don't have to wait till July. And so that's being pushed again by the MMA, and hopefully they'll find a way to do that. But the biggest issue with the MMA that they're pushing is to have more revenue come back to the cities and towns, because especially with everything up, we should be able to start getting more money back. Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on to BOS policy review. There's one here from Ms. Walker, and I'd like to make a comment on my own after. I believe Ms. Walker's is the only one then, right now for tonight. Policy number 11, communication involving electronic devices. Ms. Walker?
Yep. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This policy was put into place back in '09 when there was some concern. We were all had cell phones, and there was some concern that we might, somebody might text another board member during the meeting to find out how they were going to vote. So that would subvert everything that we're doing here. So a policy was made that no member of a board or committee shall communicate using any electronic device in a meeting with a quorum of the board present where such communication involves the discussion of any item which is pending before the board or which is likely to be brought before the board. So I wouldn't be able to text David and say, how are you going to vote on that, or what do you think about this, and look at it. And I don't have any problems with that. I don't think it's ever happened, but at the same time, it doesn't hurt to leave it there. So I would just recommend we leave it as it is.
Any comments from the board? No? Okay, Ms. Walker, thank you. And Ms. Craver, I have one thing. A couple meetings ago, I had closings as my policy. Because of the nature of that policy, I would like to simply request that it be added to a future executive session. I don't think it requires us to create an executive session just for that, but the next time we have an executive session, if you could just add that item to it, because it could affect contracts. I believe it would have to be discussed in an executive session, and I'd like to just give the other members of the board some thoughts for them to consider if they'd like.
It would go into executive session if you were discussing strategies on how to get it into or to negotiate with them without you being in negotiations or having the board approve negotiations.
Well, I know that
I'm
we're
not sure.
currently involved in one union negotiation. We're going to be starting another union negotiation, and certain aspects of that policy could affect all of those union negotiations. And when I had brought this up in the past, someone had told me that certain aspects I was pointing out would have to be done in executive session because it would involve contract negotiations.
I think that in thinking about the open meeting law, there's a requirement that you have a discussion out in open session, and then when you decide that you're going to start the strategies with, start negotiations, that you have, then you talk about your strategy there. It sounds a little bit gray, not knowing, it's one thing to talk about what it is you'd like to change in it. That would not be executive session. The ramifications of those changes, when you go to bargain with the unions, would be an executive session.
Okay, then in that case, we'll just add that to the next agenda as my
Okay.
policy then.
Okay.
So there were no other policies for the evening. Then the next item on the agenda would be Student Select Person's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We would like to remind all students and parents that midterm exams will start Monday, January 13th, and continue Tuesday, January 14th, Wednesday, January 15th, and final exam will be held on Thursday, January 16th. January 17th, second term grades will close, and on January 24th, the second term grade report cards will be issued. January 31st and February 1st we will be having our Central Mass Show Choir home show. Tickets are available at shepherdhillchorus.com, and that's all I have today.
That's it?
For a whole month off, that's.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Ms. Craver, the town administrator's report will be next.
Yes, sir. EAP, New England workshop. I presented at the EAP New England Training Workshop for Drinking Water Operators, the Central Mass Regional Stormwater Coalitions Project, and Stormwater Management. It was well received, and included in the packet is the PowerPoint presentation. Other meetings, I also participated in meetings on water negotiations with the town of Southbridge, as well as Silent Springs presentation by Dr. Laurel Schrader on water quality research and known carcinogenics, and a training on customer service given by the Mass Municipal Personnel Association. Public hearing, FY14 joint CDBG application. The Leicester Board of Selectmen will conduct a public hearing on January 21st at 7 at their Selectmen's Meeting Room regarding a proposed joint FY14 application by the town of Leicester and Charlton to the Mass Department of Housing and Community Development for up to $900,000 in the Community Development Grant Block funds. If awarded, the town of Leicester, as the lead community, would be responsible for the administration of the grant program. All persons with questions and comments regarding the grant application will have an opportunity to be heard then.
Thank you, Ms. Craver. Was there any other business that we weren't aware of at the time posted?
I just had one thing.
Ms. Walker?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had meant to announce this before, but we have a new free newspaper in town. It's online, and it's called the Charlton News. And you can access by going to Charlton R Us. That's CHARLTON the letter R, .US. And just to tell you a little bit about it, the Charlton News is an online publication presented to the community as a vehicle for education, entertainment, and sharing. Donations are welcome, provided they be sent to the Town of Charlton General Fund to assist in advancing the services to the community. Advertisers, if you're interested in advertising the Charlton News, email the address to the address above, which is news, N-E-W-S, @charltonr.us. Articles. If you wish to contribute to the Charlton News, submit your stories to the email address above. Submissions on community issues, entertainment, short stories, and poetry are welcome. Other contributions may be how-to articles, a birth announcement with a baby picture, a favorite holiday recipe, entertaining photos, and links on the web to educational web pages. And I assure you, you won't be disappointed. There's wonderful pictures. We're all in it all the time. Sure we'll be in it tonight, and but there's one picture of Joe and Rick, and they're beautiful pictures about all the sports events, everything that goes on in town. So it's kind of fun to read and good for all of us.
Thank you, Ms. Walker.
Could I ask you a question?
Sure.
I just would like a point of clarification. Did you say that checks should be made out to the town of Charlton General Fund?
It says here, donations are welcome, provided they be sent to the Town of Charlton General Fund to assist in advancing the services to the community. Now, Mr. Wilmot is here, and he could maybe elaborate on that, but that's what I'm reading from the,
I don't believe that we have a line item for that, and I don't believe that the newspaper is a town-run newspaper, so if we were to cash checks to the general fund as a donation, it would have to stay with the general fund and would not be, there's no appropriation for it, so I'm not sure. I would ask people not to do that yet until I have an opportunity to talk with Ron, unless he's already set something up I'm not aware of. They should be sent to,
Ron, do you
They-
want to come up and tell us what you think?
don't, if donations are to support the newspaper and Ron Wilmot operating, they should be sent directly to Ron and his newspaper. If they are meant as donations to the charities that he reports about, then that could be sent, and they're town charities, donations, then that could be sent to the town.
Like chip in or something?
Yes. Then, if they already have an account with the town, then they could identify what account they'd like those
Or like
monies
Old
to go
Home
to.
Day or Earth Fest?
Absolutely. You just have to name what it is, because if you don't if they send a donation and they just put general fund, it will disappear without an appropriation.
Okay,
So make sure you identify the charity or account you'd like.
thank you.
Mr. Seferovich,
No, that answers my question.
anything else?
Scott,
Mr. Salou?
Scott, do you want to address the board or no? You just? No, I'm just. Okay.
Okay, other than that, we have our next meeting. The next regular selectmen's meeting will be January 21st, 2014. We will,
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Seferovich?
I move that we go into executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, for reasons. Number 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. Number 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate if the chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiation process, position of the public body. And number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigation position of the public body and the chair so declares. And to leave executive session for solely for the purpose of adjournment.
I'll wait till you get a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, Ms. Craver?
I just want to point out that the agenda has number 2 and number 6, and Mr. Safarovich has added number 3 because I have information that came in today about some litigation that I'd like to impart to you. So just to make a note that that's the agenda, so there's an added number.
Okay, the chair does so declare. We'll do this by roll call vote. Ms. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Seferovich?
Aye.
Mr. Salou?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. We're now in executive session, and we will come out solely for the purpose of adjournment.